The Bears are quietly lining up a defensive move that says, "We're done waiting." This is not about Caleb Williams, not about the offense, not about flashy highlights. This is about the other side of the ball, where games in Chicago are supposed to be won. The deadline is right in front of us. The clock is loud, and there's a name from New Orleans that fits everything this team is missing right now. I'm going to walk you through why the Bears are even in this position, what kind of player we're talking about, why his skill set lines up almost perfectly with what this defense can't do at the moment, and what it would mean not just for this season, but for the identity of this team going forward. Stay with me, because I'll give you the name, I'll give you the role, and then I want you in the comments telling me if you pulled the trigger or not. Let's start with the truth that people outside Chicago don't always get. This coaching staff in this front office are not thinking in terms of rebuild in 3 years. Those days are over. The hire at head coach made that clear. The pick at quarterback made that clear. The tone from Hollers Hall now is, develop the offense, yes, but don't let the defense slip to the point where every Sunday turns into a shootout. The goal is balance. You protect your young quarterback not just with receivers and linemen, but by giving him a defense that can actually get stops and win field position. And that's the part that's been breaking. You can see it every time. This team gets into third and medium and just can't get off the field. You can see it late in halves when the pass rush almost gets home but doesn't, and then the ball still finds someone sitting open in the flat. That slow leak is what kills you in this league. And right now, a big part of that leak is in the secondary. Let's talk about that secondary honestly. On paper, the Bears are not weak at corner. On paper, you've got an outside corner who can travel with top receivers, young talent with size and length, and a slot corner who can hit and blitz. That's on paper. But football is never on paper. Injuries have ripped holes in the plan. Guys who were supposed to lock down one side have missed time. The nickel spot, that inside corner who has to cover shifty slot receivers, tackle in space, and even show up as an extra blitzer, has turned into musical chairs. You're seeing depth players pushed into starting roles. You're seeing practice squad types called up and told, handle the fastest guy on the field on third down. That's not sustainable against the kind of offenses Chicago is facing right now in the division. It's not even fair to those players to be honest. When that happens, a smart front office doesn't sit and pray for health. A smart front office looks at the trade window and asks a very specific question. Is there a defensive back out there who's already proven in the league, who can play inside, who can survive outside if needed, who tackles like a safety, who can blitz like a linebacker, and who isn't 32 years old and on the last breath of his career? That list is not long. But there is one guy who keeps coming up, and he's the exact mold. He's young, he's physical, he's versatile. He's got real starting experience, not preseason hype. And he's playing right now for the New Orleans Saints. The player I'm talking about is Alante Taylor. Let me explain why his profile makes sense for Chicago immediately. Taylor isn't just an outside corner. He's been asked to live in the slot. And if you know football at this level, you know that is brutal work. Playing nickel in the modern NFL means you're dealing with the other team's most annoying receiver every snap, the quick one who moves in motion, stacks behind tight ends, uses traffic to shake you off. You have to pass guys off clean in coverage. You have to break on shallow routes. And you have to tackle in space when the ball comes out fast. That's not a job for soft corners. That's a job for somebody who embraces contact and doesn't blink when the play turns into chaos. Taylor has shown he can do that. And that is exactly where the Bears are hurting most. Inside, there's more. Chicago doesn't just need coverage. Chicago needs violence from the slot. This defense is at its best when it's allowed to play. On the front foot, disguising looks, sending pressure off the edge, making the quarterback feel bodies around him even when the rush doesn't win clean. To do that, you need a nickel who can time a blitz, bend around the edge, and actually finish the play, not just show and get picked up. That's the difference between we almost got off the field and it's fourth down, punt team, let's go. Taylor has already been used that way. He's not just a cover guy. He's been deployed off the corner as a rusher. He's hit quarterbacks, and he's created disruption behind the line. That kind of versatility gives a defensive coordinator freedom to call the game the way he wants instead of just sitting back in zone and hoping somebody up front wins on their own. Now, here's where the timing part matters. The trade deadline is the moment where certain types of players become available, not stars at their absolute peak who are untouchable, and not aging vets who are basically rentals with no future. The players who move right now are usually in that middle lane, good enough to help immediately, young enough to justify building around, and on a contract situation where their current team has to at least listen if the offer is fair. Taylor lives in that lane. He's still in that early career window where you're not guessing what he is. He's already shown you what he is. You're not drafting traits. You're trading for production and mentality. And from the Bears' point of view, that matters for two reasons. Number one, this team can't keep living with patched-together defensive back rotations and expecting the offense to solve it. That's how you burn out a young quarterback mentally, by asking him every week to climb out of a hole because the defense couldn't get one last stop. Number two, you're not just renting a guy for 2 months and then saying goodbye. You're auditioning him. You bring in a player like Taylor now. Let him learn the room. Let him learn the language. Let him prove he fits the culture. And then you keep him long-term if it clicks. That's how you build a core. That's how you stop the cycle of constant reset. Let's talk football again, because I want you to picture it. Imagine a late-game defensive look at Soldier Field. Cold night, 1-score lead. Outside, you've got length and physicality pressing on the boundary. Inside, instead of trying to survive with whoever's healthy that week, you've got Taylor sitting over the slot, showing man before the snap, then disguising zone after the snap, jumping a quick route and making a form tackle short of the sticks. Next series, same alignment, but now he doesn't drop. Now he comes off the edge. Quarterback doesn't see it until it's too late. That's a drive killer. That's how you get the ball back without asking Caleb to play hero every Sunday. That's also how you start sending a message to the rest of the division. This isn't last year's Bears defense anymore. You want the other piece of this. Respect in the room. Defensive backs in Chicago talk a lot about pride. This fan base remembers what it felt like when the Bears lined up and everyone knew, you're not throwing on us today. There's a standard here. It's part of the identity of the franchise. Bringing in a guy like Taylor doesn't just fill a depth chart line. It tells the locker room management is backing you with real help. That goes a long way with veterans who are tired of hearing next man up like it's magic. Next man up is a slogan. Trading for help is action. Now, let me ask you directly, because this is where this channel is different. If you're the Bears, do you make that call and pay the draft pick to bring in Alante Taylor, a young, physical, starting caliber defensive back who can line up inside, move outside if he has to, tackle in space, blitz off the corner, and bring some bite back to this secondary, even if it means giving up future assets? Or do you say, no, we're going to ride it out with what we've got, hope the injured guys come back fast, and trust the current rotation to hold up, even though we've all seen how thin it is right now? I want you in the comments with that, because that's the real decision. Here's my professional read to close this out. This move would tell me the Bears are serious about playing grown-up football. Not just highlight football, grown-up football. You build around your young QB by protecting him physically and mentally. That means better coverage, more third down wins, shorter fields, and fewer games where he has to be Superman just to keep you alive. Alante Taylor, to me, fits that plan. He's not a luxury. He's a piece. And he's the kind of piece you usually can't touch unless you're drafting top 15. If Chicago can position itself to add that kind of player before the deadline, I think you at least try. Now it's your turn. Drop your take below right now. Do you spend a pick to bring in Taylor and stabilize the secondary today, or do you Hold the line and trust recovery. I'll be pulling the smartest comments for the next breakdown, so get in there. And if you want to stay plugged into every decision that shapes this team around Caleb Williams, not just rumors, but the actual roster math and how it affects Sundays, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Bears News Fan Report, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update. We're getting close to the moment where the front office has to show its hand. And if they move, it's going to tell us exactly what kind of team they believe they are.